Okay, I think we should start. So, in our previous class, we stopped at this slide, right? Let us go one slide back. So, in our previous class, we found out the relationship between the deformations, that is the mid-plane strains and the curvature, with the resultant force and moment. And they were related by what is known as the ABD matrix. Nx, according to our formulation, was equal to A1 into E naught x plus A12 into A naught y plus A16 into E naught s plus B11 into curvature, B12 into curvature, B16 into curvature, where this is the definition of A, B and D matrix. Okay. We also had discussed that A does not depend on the on the layup sequence. B and D depend on the layup sequence because there is difference of squares. Zk minus Zk minus 1 is just the thickness of the laminate. It does not A does not care whether the laminate is placed at the top, at the center, or at the bottom. It is just summation of Qij into thickness. Dij, since you have the square term of Zk and Zk minus 1, then the order becomes important. Also, the order becomes important for Dij. The A matrix gives us the relationship between resultant forces or traction Nx, Ny, Nxy with the in plane deformation. So this is A is sometimes known as the laminate membrane stiffness. D gives us the relationship between resultant moments and the curvature. So this is the laminate bending stiffness. And B is the coupling between membrane and bending. Okay. So what is the increase in traction due to radius of curvature? This relationship we can get only if the B is non-zero. So B is the coupling between the membrane and the bending. A is the membrane stiffness, B is the bending stiffness. So now let us look at, if you have a laminate, you pull it in the direction of, as shown in the arrow, A11 is going to give you the extent of deformation from the dotted line to the solid line. A12 is the relationship between Nx, so the loading is in the x direction, and the strain in the y direction, so the deformation is in the y direction. Similarly, A16 gives me the relationship between Nx and the in plane shear strain, so as you can see in this figure. So on and so forth. So the B matrix is actually giving me the tendency of a material to bend or twist even though there are only normal strains. No, it gives us the addition to normal traction due to bending or twisting, like this. So the resultant traction is in this direction, but it is due to bending, like you can see in this figure. Similarly, you have twist leading to normal traction. Therefore, this is the coupling. It is coupling the curvature with the normal traction. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now let us try to solve a problem. Okay, so the problem is you have to calculate the A, B and D matrix for a symmetric quasi-isotropic 8-ply carbon epoxy laminate. Okay, so the layup sequence is 0, comma, plus minus 45, comma 90. symmetric. So there are 8 layers. The total thickness is T. The thickness of each layer is Tk. E1, E2, G12 is given. You have to calculate the ABD matrix. How will you do it? The first thing you have to do is you have to calculate the Q matrix for 0. You will recall the formulas like this, that Q1, Q2, what is the value, and then you calculate the Q matrix. This is Q for 0. Okay. Now recall that you have plus minus 45 and 90. So you have to now transform the Q matrix to 45° and 90° and store it somewhere. So using these formulas which we have already discussed, I will calculate Q90, Q45. Depending on Q plus minus 45, these terms are going to be plus or minus. Okay. After that, what I suggest is that make a table like this. So you have 0, 45, plus 45, minus 45, 90, 90, minus 45, plus 45, 0. So for this, write down the Z coordinates. You start from the top, which is Z0, Z1, Z2, Z3, dot, 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 Z8. What is the coordinate of Z0, Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, dot, dot, dot? This is based on the sign convention that we have derived our formulas on. After that, you know the Q matrix, and now you also know the value of the Zs. You can calculate the A and D matrix. B matrix will come out to be 0. Okay. Is this clear how we will solve problems?
Yes, sir.
This is the single most important part. If you do this right, the first few times I suggest that you make a table like this, but after you have some practice, this will not even be needed. If this is right, then the calculations are relatively straightforward. Okay. Another way of giving this data is something like this. So you have to calculate the terms A11, A66, and the layup is 0, 30, 60. Q theta dependence is given. All the lamina have the same thickness. Let's call it Tk. Can you calculate what is the value of A11 and A66? Please try to solve this. So this is my 30-degree line. Okay. Based on this, you can calculate the value of Qij. This is directly they are giving you Qij. There is no need to calculate Young's modulus, etc. What is the value of Q11 for 30 degrees? How much should we take? 2.2? Please solve, tell me what the answer is. Anybody got the answer? Q11 for 30 degrees we can take to be, let's say, 2.7 or 2.8. Q11 for 60 degrees, it is this line. So it can be something like 12. So this is A11 is basically Q into thickness. So minus 60. So this is symmetric about plus minus. So minus 60 is plus 60. So 2.8 into 2 plus 12 divided by 3. This is the value of A11. So my answer would be 5.860 Newton meter is the value of A11. Similarly, A66 you can calculate by looking at how A66 is varying. So do we have to take Q for positive 60 and 30? Q is symmetric about plus and minus 60. So normally it should not matter. You see, it is exactly the same for plus. I mean, even if I go to plus 60, it will come out to be the same thing. Be careful whether you want the units GPa or MSI. So I think my previous number was wrong. That was not Newton meter. The answer was in terms of MSI meter. MSI into meter. No, sorry, that was in the wrong units. Let's look in GPa. So for 60, A11 value comes out to be, if this is 34.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, so roughly 7. So 14 into 2 plus 75. Something like close to 30 gigapascal into T. Okay, please tell me the value of A66 quickly. This round marker is A66. So Q66 for 60 degrees comes out to be, let's say, 30. Q66 for 30 degrees will come out to be the same, 30 degrees. So this is 30 into T cube. ठीक है, is this clear? I hope you will be able to also solve using charts like this, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the next problem is, for a single ply isotropic laminate, derive the relationship between A and D matrix. You only have one ply. Let's go to our definition of A. So keep this definition in mind. For a single ply, what is the relationship between A and D? For a single ply, the origin is at the center of the plate and the upper thickness is minus t by 2, bottom is plus, and you only have one layer. So what is the relationship between A and D in this case? Single plate with thickness T. Anybody?
So it came out to be D is equal to 1 by 3 into A, ZK square plus ZK minus 1 into ZK plus
ZK
ZK
you
minus
can
1 square.
calculate. ZK you can calculate. ZK
Yes.
is ZK minus 1 is minus T by 2. ZK is T by 2 for a single
Yes.
plate. Yes. I am getting this relationship. Aij is equal to Qij into T and Dij is 1 by 12 Qij into T cube. So Dij is equal to 1 by 12 Aij cube. T square, Dhruvil, I think it will be T square. A is, please check your relationship. I think it is mostly right, but it is not T. It should be T square. You can also calculate in terms of Young's modulus. Will come A is equal to Young's modulus into T divided by 1 minus nu square. D is equal to Young's modulus into T cube divided by 12 into 1 minus nu square. Okay. The next is, can you prove this? Formulas I am putting it for reference. Prove that the B matrix is 0 for symmetric laminates. Take a general symmetric laminate and prove that the B matrix is 0. How will you do this?
Sir, ZK will be plus T by 2 and ZK minus 1 will be minus T by 2. So the
No,
product will be,
this is not a single plate. A general symmetric laminate.
Sir,
prove
but
that.
this will be true for all the layers, even if there are n layers.
Yes, that is right. Basically, you are getting a system where every layers, so every layer has its mirror image layer in the upper and bottom. So if I'm looking at bottom, then there is one layer which is above, which has similar difference from the mean line. Correct? Let's say this is my central line, black is my central line. So for this, I have two lengths which are interesting to me. So let's change the color a little bit yellow. So basically for this, for the top layer, Bij is going to be Qij into blue square minus yellow square. Correct? Where blue and yellow are the Z values. So 1 by 2 Qij into blue square minus yellow square. And for the bottom layer, it is 1 by 2 Qij into yellow square minus blue square. So the distance square terms all will cancel each other out if it is symmetric, ultimately leading to Bij being 0. This is what you were also saying, yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does everybody understand this?
Yes, sir.
Now, Bij becoming 0 is a very important result for us. Why? Let us go back to our definition of A, B, and D matrix to find out. If my B matrix is 0, what does this mean? It means that between the deformation of the midplane, that is E naught, and the traction, there is a one-to-one correlation. Similarly, there is a one-to-one correlation between your M moment and your curvature. If my B matrix is 0, there is no correlation between the membrane and the bending coupling stiffness. This is very, very desirable. So if you apply deformation only, in plane deformation, you expect only traction. And if you apply curvature, you expect only resultant moment. It also, from the point of view, if you think that if you have a non-symmetric matrix where the B matrix is non-zero, and if you put it in the autoclave for curing, what is going to happen? There are going to be in-plane residual stresses due to the temperature, but since B matrix is not zero, that is also going to lead to curvature. So you will never get a completely flat plate. There are always going to be some warpage or some defects. So from a manufacturing point of view also, it makes sense to always go for a symmetric laminate. Under most of the times, you will always opt for symmetric laminates because B is 0. B is 0 means there is going to be no curvature due to the residual stresses that are going to be developed during your curing of your composite. From analysis point of view also, it makes life much easy because now there is direct correlation between epsilon naught and N, K and M. So I think few weeks ago, somebody was asking me, yes, why do we always, or why do we generally opt for a even number of lamina in a laminate? This is one of the reasons. We will opt for a even number of lamina and try to make it symmetric. If you make it symmetric, the B matrix is 0. If the B matrix is 0, then the tendency of the laminate to warp during manufacturing will become significantly lower. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let us go back to where we were. Sorry. Why is this happening? Do you know, when I go from one computer to other, why does this setting all change? Okay, so now let us write our CLT equation in compact form. So this is N M A B D epsilon naught into Q. Okay, let us invert it. So epsilon naught into K is equal to A B C D into N M. Okay, why are we writing equations in this form? Because we are saying that N and M are applied. We want to calculate epsilon naught and K. Okay, so what is the value of matrix A? A is equal to, you will get this long equation. This is small a, okay, not capital A. Small a is, so we initially derived the relationship where epsilon naught and K were applied, we were getting the resultant forces and moments. Now we are saying that the forces and the moments are applied. I want to calculate the strain, because if I can calculate the strain, I can calculate the stress, and then I can proceed further. So we have inverted this matrix. Nm is equal to ABD into epsilon naught K. Inverse of this is epsilon naught K is equal to small a b c d into n into m. Be careful that we have written b and c, because they might or might not be equal. By simple matrix inversion, I will get relationships like this. Okay. Using this for external forces and moments, mid-plane deformations, and the stress and strain in every plane can be calculated. Now, if my laminate is symmetric, what is the relationship between small a and capital A, small b, and then can you derive the relation? Then can you derive the expressions for small a, b, c, d for a symmetric laminate?
So the small a will be inverse of capital A.
Yes. Small b will be 0, because B matrix is 0. This term is 0. So B matrix is equal to 0 if I have symmetric laminate. C matrix will also be 0 because this term is 0. And D matrix will be equal to D inverse. This term will just cancel because this term is 0. For a symmetric laminate, small a is A inverse, B and C are 0, D is equal to D inverse. So from an analysis point of view also, if my laminate is symmetric, then the analysis is much, much simpler. But simple analysis is not justification for design decisions, obviously, but you still get my point, I think. So how will we calculate? So with this, how are we going to use all of these derivations that we have done to design a laminate? What are we going to do? So first of all, we start with E1, E2, G12 of the kth matrix, calculate the Q matrix. This, the Young's modulus, the different engineering constants of the kth ply could come through mechanical tests or could come through the rule of mixtures micromechanics that you have studied. So from there, you will calculate the Young's modulus of the kth ply. From there, you can calculate the Q matrix of the kth ply in the global coordinate axis system. If you know the ZK, which you will get from the layup sequence, you can calculate the ABD matrix using classical lamination theory. So load support geometry, let's say that is given. And then you can from this you will get the NNM matrix, which is depending on the load, what type of load is applied, etc., etc. Then you can calculate the strain epsilon naught and K based on the relationship that we have just studied. Calculate strain is epsilon naught plus Z into K. Then I have stress in the kth layer. I can transform it to the local coordinate axis system, then apply some failure criteria to see whether or not my lamina is safe. This is the complete flowchart as to what we try to do while designing a laminate sequence. Okay. So few things I think which are new in this is that this part. So load, support and geometry, this will usually come through FE. In FE, we will apply the load, support and geometry, get the static load and moments. This is the input for my classical lamination theory. Or if you don't like classical lamination theory, you could actually do the entire thing by FE or some other analytical solution and directly calculate the strain at every layer. So you could take this route or you could take this route. As a part of this course, we are learning this route, where from the FE or some other method, NNM matrix is known. Once the NNM matrix is known, using micromechanics, we will calculate your Young's modulus for every layer, transformation, calculate ABD matrix, calculate the strain, calculate the stress, and perform failure analysis. This flowchart is also your term project. This is what you are trying to do. So if I look at what has been done in the term project already, let's see. Pen. Blue. So this you have already done, I believe. Yes. This is using rule of mixtures. You can calculate the equivalent properties. This you have already done. If the Young's modulus are given, you can calculate the Q matrix. If the Q matrix is given, you have learned how to transform from local 1, 2 to global XY. Now, the last week I had described how if the layup sequence is given, from the layup sequence you can calculate the ZK matrix, and from the ZK matrix you can calculate ABD matrix. The next part of your term project is that you have to calculate, so let's put it in some other color. The next step is to do these calculations, is to implement this box. That you know how to calculate A, B and D matrix. If the load and the moment is given to you, you have to calculate the strain and curvature. Using the strain and curvature, you have to calculate the stress. Actually, sorry, this can be one. This green box can be your next part. You can write your code to do this. And failure criteria is something that we will learn in the next few weeks. So you will be able to do everything. Is this clear? Is this flowchart clear? Now with this, do you have better appreciation of what you are doing in your term project and why you are doing it?
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any doubt? Please have a look carefully. This is important to understand. Do you understand the entire flow chart, or should I repeat right from beginning? Can I go to the next slide? Is this, everybody understands this? Everybody now understands your term project properly? Why we were taking a step-by-step approach? What is our final goal?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So now let us try to calculate the equivalent properties of a symmetric laminate. Okay. So we are saying that the relationship between strain and stress is this. Strain is equal to A inverse into sigma. This is coming from our previous relationship. Okay. Or stress is equal to 1 by T into A into epsilon. This is the laminate average stress is equal to, this is the relationship between applied strain and laminate average stress. From this, we can directly get that the the equivalent Young's modulus of the laminate is 1 by A star. Basically, the idea is we are going back few slides. We will have some relationship between strain, which is this, and stress. The relationship between strain and stress will give me compliance, and from the compliance I will calculate the Young's modulus. I will calculate the stress in an average sense. This is what we are doing here. Laminate average stress is equal to 1 by 2h or 2t, the total thickness, divided by these two average stress. So the stress is averaged over the entire thickness. This is stress per unit length. So it is 1 by T into A into epsilon naught. Invert it, you will get epsilon naught is equal to A star into sigma prime. So Exx is equal to 1 by A star. We are using A star and not A because A star will be equal to small a only for symmetric laminate. Therefore, we are using a special term A star, just so that there is no complication. So you calculate the A matrix, invert it, get the value of A star. 1 by A11 star is your equivalent Ex. 1 by A22 is your Ey, and so on and so forth. This way, you can predict the equivalent properties of symmetric laminates. Unsymmetric laminates, this will not hold true, because then you don't have A star, but you have small a, which is rather lengthy term. But if it is symmetric laminate, you can derive simple expressions for your equivalent properties. Next, let us look at stress in a laminate due to bending. When you apply bending load, and if your laminate is symmetric, then B matrix is 0. So I am getting mx, my, mxy is equal to B matrix into curvature. If I invert this relationship, I am getting something like this. K is equal to H into M. If it is only 0 matrix, if I only have 0 and 90, then D16, D26 is 0. Then I get simple relationships for H, H11, H22, H12, H66. We are using H because we are only looking at a very special case where D16 and D26 is 0. Now, strain in this case is equal to Z into curvature, and my stress is Q into Z into curvature. Let us consider a special case, mx is equal to m0, my is equal to mxy is equal to 0. So you get some simple terms for strain, and from that you can calculate stresses. All of this is very straightforward if you understand the classical lamination theory. And be careful, we are only able to do this analysis for very special cases, like it has to be symmetric and the ply must only contain 0 and 90-degree plies. If it has some other plies, then D16, D26 will not be 0, then there are no simple expressions for H. But for a very special case, symmetric laminate only having 0 and 90, the simple analysis can be performed. Curvature and moment is connected by the H. H in terms of D matrix you can calculate. Strain is curvature into Z, because there is B matrix is 0, so E naught is irrelevant. If you know the strain, Q into strain is your stress, and from that's what we are looking for. So if I have a special case, Mx is equal to M0, My is equal to Mxy, and so you can just calculate the strains, which will come out to be the terms as shown. And from there, you can calculate the total ply stress. This is just opening up of the entire matrix. This is 3 by 3 into 1 by 3 matrix multiplication. Okay. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is how your longitudinal stresses due to bending will look like. Every ply is going to have a different value of stress depending on the Q. And the further away you go from the central line, the more stressed your layers are going to be. So it is increasing as you go away, but is also a function of how much, it's also a function of the value of the orientation. So basically it'll be something like this. You can imagine some sort of straight line which is passing through the center, and depending on whether the laminate is 0 degree, it is to the value of stress is higher than the mean inclined line that we have drawn. If it is 90 degree, it is lower than the inclined plane. And so on and so forth. This is how your stresses are going to vary in every layer when you are applying a pure bending moment, a pure bending load. So this also tells us why we should have stiffer materials at the top and bottom and less stiff materials maybe at the center. If the 0 degree was in the center, the amount of stress it would get would be only this much, perhaps, if this was 0 degree. But by putting 0 degree at the top, the amount of stress value is much, much higher. So it is the same idea, because our assumptions are similar. It is giving us similar results as the Euler-Bernoulli bending equation, that the layers at the top and bottom are getting more stress. There it was due to the fact that I was being increased, and here it is due to the fact that we are making similar assumptions, but the A, B, and D matrix is changing depending on how we lay up the sequence, how we lay up the laminas. Okay or not okay? This will be the transfer stress. They'll be very close to 0, and this will be the shear stress. So with this, 5 minutes before time, I have finished this lecture. Any questions? Any questions on classical lamination theory? Okay, so if there are no more, then what I'm going to do is, our plan for next week is that some special type of laminates and their properties we have to discuss. And after that, we also have to discuss how to incorporate the effects of hygroscopic and thermal effects inside the classical lamination theory. So that is our target for next week. After that, we will do testing of composites. Okay. So sometime around next week, you will get this presentation. Or I think I will just put first half of the presentation today itself. So all the presentation that we have discussed till now, I will upload it today, but our classical lamination theory topic has not finished. It is going to take one more week. Okay, if there are no more questions, can I close this lecture? Is anybody there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can I close this lecture? Any doubts, any questions? Okay, then
No, sir.
see you on Monday. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.